Hear you.
There we go. All right, good morning. It's August 4th, and thanks. This is Bill Phillips, and we're here conducting an interview. This video is part of the oral history project of the Edmonds Museum and the Edmonds Woodway High School History Club. The museum will keep a copy of this recording for purposes of historical research. We thank the participants, and our guest today is Mr. Bill Phillips, a good old friend here in the city of Edmonds. And the two people here today are Jeff Bennett and Stephanie Roper, and part of Edmonds Woodway History Club. Well, Bill, first question for you is, tell me about your name. How'd you get
my name?
How'd you get the name Bill Phillips?
I'll tell you how it happened. I was born Greek Orthodox, and our philosophy in those days, it still is, maybe, I'm not sure about it, but the godfather or the godparents would select the name of the child when I was baptized. When we baptized the children, then the godfather would name the child. So when I was born, I didn't have a name. They put infant down on my birth certificate. When I went to join the Navy, I went down to get my certificate and it says Infant Phillips. Who is this Infant Phillips? Anyway, so when we get baptized, then the godfather, gives the name. His name was William, so naturally he called me Bill or William.
William. Now, where did you grow up as a young man? How many kids in your family? Where did you grow up, and how many kids in your family?
I was born in Seattle at 5550 Kenwood Place, a block and a half from Green Lake.
Oh.
Up the hill from Green Lake. And we were spoiled in those days. We had a beautiful gem of a lake and didn't realize it. We took it for granted. But anyway, we had more fun on that lake. But I was born in a house. In those days, they didn't go to the hospital for children.
Right there.
Well, I guess the people who didn't have too much money, and we didn't have too much money. So all of our family was born at the home.
Oh my.
With a midwife.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway.
Where are you in the family? Are you the oldest?
I was the second, number two. I have a brother who's 2 years older. He passed away. And I was came up. Then my sister was 4 years younger than me.
Oh,
and she lives in Seattle.
Yeah. And so, do you remember your name of your grade school and high school?
Oh, yeah. B.F. Day, F.A. McDonald was my grade school, which was about, I would say, 3/4 of a mile away. And then my junior high school, in those days we called it junior high school, and down at middle school, and that was Alexander Hamilton, which was down on 43rd Street right off of Wallingford in Seattle. And it was about 2 blocks away from Lincoln High School.
Oh, Lincoln.
So Lincoln High School is where I graduated.
Okay.
And then after I graduated from Lincoln High School, then I went to the University of Washington, and I was there for 1 year, and then the war broke out.
Oh, okay.
So then I joined the Navy.
Yeah.
You wanted me to keep on going?
Yeah. So
I joined the Navy, and what I was doing, I joined the Navy, and they put me in there with the idea of finishing college, and after I finished college, I would get my commission, and then I would go into the active service. Well, as I was in there the first summer, I looked outside and I saw these airplanes flying over, and I figured, oh, that sounds interesting. So I went down and I asked the Navy recruiter if I could go ahead and change from the surface Navy to the air. He said, oh yeah, you can go ahead if you like to, but if you do, we'd have to call you in case of emergency. We need you, we'll take you, and you won't be able to graduate until after the war. I said, that's okay. So about 6 months later, they did call me in because they needed more pilots.
Yeah.
So then I went in training to be a pilot.
Wow.
And I went through my training, and after I went from station to station and place to place, and after 1.5 years to 2 years, I forget, I finally was commissioned as an ensign in the United States Navy at Pensacola, Florida.
Whoa. Now you flew among other things, PBYs?
Well, what happened was I graduated in June, got my wings in June of 1945. And guess what? The war was over a month later in Germany, and then two months later it was over in Japan. So they didn't have any need for any, so they made me an instructor.
Oh, really?
So I became a flight instructor at Pensacola, and I was instructor there for 2 years.
Oh, my word.
And then I decided to come on home and go to college. And there was a reason to come back because my sister was getting married.
Oh.
And so I come back and I finished college, got my degree, and then started teaching in 1951 at Edmonds High School.
Wow. This was pretty, it was very rural in 1951. So were you hired by G. Mason Hall?
I was hired by G. Mason Hall, right.
He was the first principal. Was he principal and superintendent?
He was the principal of Edmonds High School, and he ran everything. He was the counselor, and he did the whole works. Anyway, what happened was he was interviewing me, and I was telling him all about things, and then he says, "Well, are you married?" I says, "Yes." And he says, "What's your wife's name?" And I told her, "Joanne." "Oh, where did she go to school?" I said, "Edmonds High School." "Oh, yeah, I remember Joanne Blackman. Edmonds High School. She was her cheerleader when she was a freshman."
Oh, my word.
So, anyway, he said, "Well, you're hired." And just like that. He said, "We'll take you. If your wife marries you, you must be pretty good."
Wow, gee whiz. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you taught sciences?
I was in chemistry and physics.
Oh my!
I was teaching chemistry and physics.
Yeah. And
I did that for at the old Edmonds High School until 1957. Then we got so crowded, they built a new high school up on up near Five Corners.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
At 76th and 212.
Yeah.
Where the high school is now.
So you were a part of that whole transition.
I was part of the transition. So we moved from there. From down here up there in 1957.
Yeah.
In the fall.
Yeah.
And I was up there for 30 years. Well, see, no, I was there at Edmonds High School from 1957 until 1977.
Yeah, yeah.
That's 20 years.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I moved over to Woodway High School.
So you transitioned from teaching chemistry, teaching physics,
then
you were
I was teaching chemistry and physics down here.
Yeah.
But then when I moved up to the new high school, up in the hill, it was a larger high school, so therefore we had 2 chemistry teachers. Oh. And we had a physics teacher.
Yeah.
So I just taught chemistry all day long, 5 periods of chemistry.
Yeah. Oh my. Wow.
And I taught that until 1964, and then I became a vice principal in 64. And I was a vice principal in 64 until I retired in 1983.
Oh my word! And because you also, in addition to being vice principal, it was a big job. I think you worked on activities.
I did everything.
And
I did everything.
I think you did. I've looked through yearbooks, and it seems like any group, you're in every single picture.
You know about it just as well as I do. You do everything when you're a vice principal.
I think you do.
And I supported my principal, and we got a lot of things accomplished. And we had the best high school in the nation. And we had a good football team, and good baseball team, and track. And we had good students. Very good students. The students were fantastic. All of them were great. I really, looking back at my high school, I think that the ones that I really liked were the first ones I had down at the old high school. Yeah. Those students were fantastic. They worked hard, and they studied hard, and they played hard.
Tell me about the old high school down here. Did most of the kids walk to school? Did they have some buses?
Well, we had buses in those days because it was quite a distance. They covered a lot of ground. Edmonds School District is quite large.
And that was the one school, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we were getting them from Alderwood area and Montlake Terrace. They're all coming to Edmonds High School. Yeah, yeah. And so we had to have buses. Yeah. And so the kids that were within 2 miles walked to school. But otherwise, they would have buses.
And the football games were held just down here?
football team right out here at the play field.
The Civic
And,
Center, yeah.
Every time before they played a game, they had to go out, pick up all the rocks off the field because they didn't want to hurt their players.
Yeah.
They didn't have grass.
Was it the dirt sand thing?
It was just dirt and rocks. And the kids had to play in the dirt and rocks. That was too bad.
Oh.
But they couldn't afford to build a proper field.
Yeah.
They didn't have the money.
And
But anyway, that they were hard students and tough.
I guess they had to be tough. Oh my word! If you know, when high school students did things on a Friday night, did you have were the dances in the gym, or did you have high school dances back then?
Oh yeah, in the gym.
In the gym.
In the gym. Well, no, we first started out down here at what's that place across the street from Billtown? Kind of a big building, looks like a...
Oh, like the Masonic Hall?
Yeah, Masonic Hall. We used to go to dances there on Friday night.
Oh, really?
The students have their dances down there.
Not the school?
Well, they did it when I first got here.
Yeah.
When I first got here at Edmonds High School in 1951, they were going down there for their dances.
Oh.
Then after I got here, then we changed it.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know what happened. Somebody,
Yeah.
I got involved or somebody got involved. We changed it to the school.
Yeah, yeah.
We decided to have the dances in the gym.
Yeah, okay.
And that's where we held our dances.
Were some of those basketball games on Friday nights pretty packed? Because that gym's not big.
No, it's not too big.
Did you help supervise sometimes?
Yeah, we played. We played schools from Bellingham.
Yeah.
We played schools from Eastern Washington. We played schools from Seattle.
Yeah.
And so we had. I forget.
Yeah. Did what was it about teaching that you liked so much?
Pardon
You
me?
enjoyed teaching, didn't you?
What do I like teaching?
You liked teaching.
Oh, I enjoy teaching.
Do some of your
It was
former
something that I could. Yeah.
do some of your old students text you and send you messages today?
No, we didn't have texts in those days.
Or I should say, do you still see some kids that you had?
Well, I would see kids. They would come back and see me after they graduated.
Mm-hmm.
They would tell me how much they enjoyed the class
Yeah.
and how much it helped them in college.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so they would come back and see me from time to time.
Yeah, yeah.
I was going to go ahead and have all my graduating seniors send me postcards every year to tell me where they were and what they were doing.
Yeah.
But I never got it off the ground.
Yeah.
I thought about that afterwards. I should have thought about it at that time.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
some kids still come back and tell me about where they do and where they've been.
Yeah.
And then when we had when the students come back and they would have their 5 years or 10 years,
Oh yeah.
20
yeah.
years, and then the students would come back and they would invite me to their and we would talk about it then.
Yeah. Oh, so were some of the reunions held at the high school?
Yes. At the high school.
Okay. All right. All right.
Well, then what they did, they would rent different places around like they do now.
Yeah.
They would go there to have their. But at first they were at the high school, and then after that,
Yeah.
they would go out and rent restaurants or different areas that they had their
Yeah. Yeah.
renewal there.
Wow. Well, let's shift topics to a topic that I just amazed at, and the topic is parks in Edmonds. And I didn't realize this till you were telling me. We take the parks for granted down here, and there's so many.
Oh.
And so from 1960 to 1979, you were on the Edmonds Park Board?
Park Board.
Park Board.
Yeah, it's an interesting story how I got on the Park Board. Well, when we got married, we had a home which we bought up at Hummingbird Hill area.
Yeah.
And there were about 40 homes up there, built up on above Hummingbird area, in the Hummingbird area.
Yeah.
And we had that was my first home.
Uh-huh.
And we had when they built our home, the builder indicated that there was some property there that was difficult to build on.
Oh,
So he was going to down the hole.
Yeah.
And we had nice views of the sound from our homes there, but that hole didn't have any views, so they figured they wouldn't put any houses down there.
Yeah.
And so he said he would donate to the city, and they could make a park out of it. So when he finished his last building, he decided to leave without fulfilling his deal about transferring it to the city. So I went down and talked to the city lawyer, and I said, you know, they promised that property to the city.
Yeah.
So they went ahead and contacted him, and he did donate their property.
Yeah, yeah.
And then after he donated the property, the kids wanted to go down there and play, but they had rocks down there too.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it wasn't very much fun to play down there, so they were complaining to me. So I went down to the city hall, and I told them if there's some chance they could put grass up in there to make it better for the kids to play on. So they put grass in.
Oh.
And after that, the kids said, well, it's nice to have grass, Dad, but wouldn't it be nice if we could have some swings and slides? And so I went down to the city, and I said, you know, the kids need swings and slides and monkey bars to play on. Oh, gosh. So, okay, we'll buy them, they said, but you have to put them in. I said, no problem. So I got my neighbors, and we put the slides and everything in. And so then they had a chance to swing and play. Well, then pretty soon the older kids came down and said, Mr. Phillips, you know, we don't have a place to play. We're too big for the slides and the swings. We need a play field. So I went down to the city, and I says, you know, the kids need a play field there. The two larger kids can't swing on that deal. So they says, okay, we'll put a play field in. So they put in a backstop and a play field.
Oh.
So then the mayor, Harv Harrison, one day decided that, you know, that guy's been giving us a lot of trouble up there, so I'm going to go up and I'm going to fix him. He came up and he said, I'm going to put you on the park board, Bill, and so you can go ahead and get some work done on the park board. I said, okay, fine. So when I got on the park board, one of the first things I wanted to do was to get property down at the waterfront, because my children and my wife, they had to trespass on private property in order to get down to the beach to go swimming. So they would trespass.
Everything was privately owned?
All private. Everything was private.
I never knew that.
Not one foot of public property. And so then I decided that, I talked to the park board, and we said, let's go ahead and get some property so the kids could go down and swim without trespassing. So the first thing we worked on was the property right north of the ferry dock, which is now the Brackett's Landing Park. There's to be shingle mills there.
Oh, yeah.
When Brackett came here in 1890 or something like that, I forget.
1870.
He saw all these beautiful trees we have up there on the hill.
Yeah.
And oh boy, he found himself really a nice place that had cedar trees. And in those days, they had cedar shakes to put on homes. Yeah. Cedar shakes was a big thing.
Yeah.
So he built mills down on the waterfront, and they slid the trees down Main Street. They come sliding down Main Street into the water, and they would take and put them into the mill into the mill, and they would make shingles.
Yeah, yeah.
And they had about 5 of those things along the waterfront.
Do you remember the mills?
I remember the mills. Oh yeah, I remember the mills. And when I first came here in 1951, that was the year the last one closed.
Excelsior Mill or something?
Huh?
Was it called the Excelsior Mill or something like that?
They were the shingle mills.
Shingle mill.
And they closed in 1951.
Oh.
So then, when I became on the park board in 1960, that property was old buildings there, rotting, falling apart, and the piling in the water was getting old. So we went ahead to see if we could buy the property. I didn't know who owned the property at that time, but what we did, I was interested in that. I was just interested in getting the property.
Yeah. And
we found out the property was available 400 feet along the waterfront, 400 feet going from the ferry dock, going north for 400 feet.
Yeah.
That goes all the way from where the Main Street is, all the way to where it goes to Casper Street.
Oh.
That's about 400 feet.
Yeah, yeah.
And so then we went ahead and, no, it wasn't all the way to Casper, it was, well, 400 feet,
400
wherever
feet.
it was. It was along the Sunset Avenue. I forget exactly where it goes. but that was available for somewhere around $200,000. But the nice thing in those days, the federal government provided 50%, state government, let's take it back. The state provided 50%, the county provided 25%, and the city provided 25%. So figured out 25% of 200,000 would be somewhere around $60,000.
Yeah.
For $60,000, our members of City of Edmonds got that 400 feet of prime property for $62,000.
Wow, wow.
And so then the state and the county chipped in because they knew that those people would use the beach also.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So then after we got that beach, the story is so long that we have to go ahead and develop the beach.
Yeah.
So when the kids went down there, and they would love the sand, but in the wintertime, when the storms would come up, the storms would come up and they hit the bulkhead and they take all the sand back out into the sound.
Oh yeah.
So our beach would be deteriorating. So we had to figure some way out how to keep that sand in there. So one engineer told us that, well, if we put a jetty out there in the water, it would make a kind of a circle deal, and the waves would come in and they would kind of circle. And rather than pulling the sand out, it would push it to the side, and it would hit the jetty.
Yeah.
And the jetty would prevent it from going any place, and it would build up. And so the sand would build up from the jetty towards the beach. And so therefore we had the sand would stay. And all that jetty was, we just got broken concrete from roads and houses, and we asked them to dump it down there, they would dump it.
So when you saw demolition and old concrete,
hey, we need it down here.
Oh.
And so we built the jetty out. You can see it out now. It's developed pretty well.
Wow. Wow. So Brackett's Beach, was that the first step?
First step.
And
after that, we went up to Olympic Beach, which was called, in those days, we called it Dayton Street.
Yeah.
And what it was really, and we didn't realize that, but when the streets extended down into the water, that's part of the city.
Oh.
And so we said, well, that's part of the city. So that street, really, we could make that into a park. And so we went ahead and took the end of the street, which was 60 foot wide.
Yeah.
It goes down into the water. And so we went ahead and made that to a park. Why not make that a park and people could use it? And they did. So it was just along the beach was only no upland at all.
Yeah.
The upland was, there were cabins there.
I remember.
There were cabins that you rent out. People would come to the city of Edmonds and rent cabins, and they would stay there and watch the view and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So we didn't have the upland, but we had the waterfront.
Yeah.
And the waterfront, when the tides come in, there wasn't very much left because you had to push yourself back.
Yeah.
And anyhow, there was enough property there that we could go ahead and build on. So what we did, we put a breakwater out. When you put a breakwater out, it extended more or less the beach. And so there now, from the breakwater, is where there's a beach. And people could go ahead and sit on the lawn, and we put grass in. And so that was the Dayton Street Beach.
Did you have to buy any of it?
They renamed it Olympic Beach after
Olympic winners from Edmonds, like Edmonds kids who had won gold medals or something.
No, I think it had to do something about for the war, for the heroes from the World War II.
Oh, maybe. Okay.
And that's where the Olympic came in. I don't know where the connection of Olympic had to do with the World War veterans, but that's what I think was one reason why they changed the name from Dayton into Olympic.
Oh, I see. So Brackett's Landing, Olympic Beach.
Olympic Beach.
And then, did you have something to do with Marina Beach?
Then what we did, there was a property that the senior citizens needed a building.
Oh.
And so they asked the city if they would buy or make a building so the city citizens could go ahead and have. So they bought that area there along the water, and they made it the city for the senior citizens.
Mm-hmm.
And we benefited by that because that property also included the water.
Oh.
So therefore, we said we have to provide that as a beach property as well.
Oh.
So all the property then adjacent to the senior citizen can be used as a beach, and people can use it as a beach.
Cool. Cool.
And there's parking up there where they have parking for the senior citizens,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so they also can use the beach. So now we have property there, we have property there, and we have property there. But then going back to Brackus Landing, people come down, they want to go walk along the beach,
Yeah.
and they wanted to go out and they wanted to catch clams and
Yeah.
all things like that. So they would walk up north of the beach,
Mm-hmm.
and so that was private property. So what we did, we found out we could buy 2,000 feet of beach, not beach,
Or
but
tidelands?
tidelands
Oh, really?
from the state. We could buy it for a very reasonable sum. I forget what it was, but it wasn't very much.
Yeah.
So we bought 2,000 feet of tidelands. Now people can go out when the tide is out. They can go down to Brackus Landing, get on the beach, and then walk north for 2,400 feet.
Oh.
So that's quite a ways.
Huh.
I haven't measured it, but someday I'm going to.
Because you like to walk the waterfront,
I like
don't
the
you?
water anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go out there one day. I'm going to measure 2,000 feet and see how far it is.
Oh.
There's quite a ways up there. It's far enough for anybody to go.
Now the
Then
the boat harbor was somewhere in there because there was a phase 1 of the yacht club and a phase 2, but then there's the Marina Beach. Did you have something to
I'm
do with
going
that?
southbound. Okay, southbound. Let's go southbound. Before the marina came in, I forget what year that was, but at that time, Union Oil was still there, and they used to make asphalt.
Yep.
And when they made the asphalt, it was a going concern. And so then when they closed the asphalt plant, we went down to the asphalt plant, and we says, can we buy that property along the waterfront? And they says, no, you can't buy it because we need it for our ships to come in. And so, but you can go ahead and lease that beach property, and we'll lease it to you for $1 a year. So we says, fine.
Yeah.
So we leased the property, and we leased it, and we got it, we developed it into a park.
Oh.
And we called it that, park, what would you call it at that time?
Marina Beach? Was it
Well,
Marina
it wasn't
Beach?
called the Marina Beach, it was called the Union Oil
Union
Beach.
Oil Beach.
Union Oil
Oh,
Beach.
Yep.
We didn't care with the name.
Yeah.
All we cared about was people could use it.
Yeah.
So the people used it and they loved it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we got that property. And then after that, we figured about north, there was a place at Meadowdale. And there was trying to be a private enterprise to buy and make a development upland and put in condos and have their own beach. Well, it fell through, it went bankrupt.
Oh.
And so that property became available, and the city bought it.
Is that the property on Snake Road?
Meadowdale,
Snake Road property or
No,
Meadowdale Park up there?
the park, Meadowdale Park.
Playfields?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I
And
never knew that.
That's City Park.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but that originally it was supposed to be a big development there,
Mm-hmm.
really condos and apartments and
Mhm.
beach property.
Mm-hmm.
But they went bankrupt.
Oh,
But so the property became available, and the city bought it.
wow. Wow.
Now, after that, it's developed differently now. They have grass and
I think
things
it's soccer fields
Yeah.
and softball. And
yeah, so it's quite developed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then what we had, going out, what's that property, Snake Road?
Yes.
Going out Snake Road, you come to some property which was classified as beach property, not beach, but woods.
Yeah.
And it was on the beach.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
but it's so woodsy that you couldn't get down to the beach.
Yeah.
And anyway, it was a county property.
Mm-hmm.
It was county.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we did, what the city did, they arranged to go ahead and transfer that property there and gave the ownership to the city,
Mm-hmm.
and then they would go ahead and somehow made I forget, but they got the University of Washington involved in it. They had property too, way out in the countryside, and I'm not exactly sure what that deal was. I wasn't involved in it too much. It was more or less done by the city attorney.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that property there now is a city property.
One of the teachers at Edmonds High School, I think, was also involved in the Marsh Preservation. Mr. Cook, I think, may have been involved in some of the property by Harbor Square Athletic Club, where there's it's a marshland, and he
It's down here. You mean?
I think it was Edmonds High kids and Mr. Cook, roughly at the time you were vice principal, that helped preserve the wetlands.
Yeah,
but that's a different story.
Yeah.
But
that was done through John Cook.
Yeah.
He got involved.
Got about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Mr. Cook, and I think it was Edmonds High students and Mr. Cook, Mr. Cook and Edmonds High kids, who said that waterland was an important place, which was the first time people began to think about wetlands.
They started out with that, with the, what was that area probably, going out 84th?
Chase Lake?
Chase Lake.
Chase Lake area, the big bog.
Chase Lake
bog, yes.
There was a bog land there. They used to pull out all the bog and they would sell it for dirt.
Yeah.
And so that they got involved. John Cook got involved with that. They wanted to maintain that so they would use it. So they got to the point where the school system bought the property and made a I think they bought it.
Well, they established like a little interpretive nature walk. Interpretive center. That's really cool. So when you were on the park board, so you've described brackets, you've described the senior citizen center, you got $1 a year for the Union Oil Beach, and if those things had not happened, there would have really almost been no public access.
No,
zero.
So we had a lot of public access now.
Yeah.
But as we developed, yourself what happened was that we got the brackets landing south, which used to be to the south of the ferry dock.
Oh, Andy's Boathouse?
Andy's Boathouse. Well, we couldn't buy it because they wanted a lot of money for that. But now, later on, after I got off the park board, the city did buy it. They bought it for $1.3 million. And they made a park out of it.
Yeah.
But a big difference between 1.3 million and 62,000.
No kidding. Oh my gosh. Bill, we've got about 3 minutes left. You were the hero of Edmonds High with teaching chemistry and physics and vice principal and running dances.
Well, I worked so hard for the city of Edmonds.
Yes,
because I love the city of Edmonds. I came from Seattle. My wife loved city of Edmonds. She went to school here at Edmonds High School. I became a teacher, and I loved Edmonds.
Yeah.
And I loved Edmonds School District. Yeah. My point was that I was born in 1922 in Seattle. I lived there in Seattle until the war started, and I went to war. Then when I came back, I got married, and I moved to Edmonds.
Yeah.
So I'd really only put in about 20 years in Seattle, and I put in, 20 from 90 makes what? 70 years in Edmonds.
So you're really an Edmonds.
Really was an Edmonds
you're
man.
An Edmonds guy. Well, Bill, I want to thank you so much, and we certainly appreciate, and thank you so much, and we'll get you a copy, and this recording will be forever a part of the Edmonds Historical Society Museum collection. Thanks, Bill.
Well, I thank you.